Welcome back. We've managed to get in a few working days in the last few weeks with the inclement weather, including sub-zero temperatures, snowfall, rain. We've had a little bit of it all. So today we're going to talk about the pouring of the concrete patio, and we'll look at finishing up the lower eaves and all the eaves around the house, and the septic. In a recent video, we looked at the pouring of the footers under the entryway, which I then built out the subfloor for and is draped in the plastic on the right-hand side there. Our concrete guys have come back and they are now pouring the porch patio for the entryway. We're doing 8 to 10 inches of concrete on the sides as a sort of turn down footer, and then 4 to 5 inches in the middle. There's also 1 inch of fall over the 8 feet of distance from the entryway out to the edge, just to allow a little bit of water drainage. I was going to originally have this just as a broom swept finish, so it had a nice texture on it and it wouldn't be slippery if it rained. And the owner honestly was just very nice, and he said, listen, he really appreciated what I was trying to do here, building this house by myself, and he said that he wanted to stamp the concrete for me. He didn't charge anything extra. It took a couple of extra hours of work for them, but it was just something that he wanted to do for us, which I really appreciated. Here you can see them spreading a releasing agent on these mats, and this is what they'll use to actually stamp the concrete. They're little forms. They're kind of like little yoga mats. They're flexible and they have a pattern on them. And then you put this release agent dust on it, and it provides just a little bit of color, and it keeps the mats from sticking to the concrete when they're putting it down. So you can see they just lay it down, and then they'll start slapping it with a trowel to get the impression in, and they just keep moving the pattern around. They've got 2 of them until they get all of it stamped out. What was a little tricky for them was they needed to get the stamping complete on the top and then remove the forms on the side before the concrete sets fully, because they're also going to be stamping the sides as well. So this was definitely more work for them, and again, I really appreciated the extra effort to make something look nice when they didn't really have to. Here you can see the difference between the stamp section and the sections they haven't stamped yet. They also have a smaller square that they use as transitions between the larger squares if the pattern doesn't work quite right. You can see it there on the left. So where those big squares come together, sometimes they'll tweak it with this smaller so that the pattern looks a bit more seamless and doesn't have an obvious repetition to it. And this is the mostly finished product. There's still a bunch of that dust release agent on here, and that will stay on here for a couple of days, and they'll come back and wash that off. And then in about a month, they're going to come back and seal it so that it always has a slightly damp look to it, but that it's still nice and textured. And again, you can see how beautiful that is there. So really happy with it. Again, great work. We also got our windows delivered, so we got 23 windows delivered. I still need to get the sliding glass doors and a couple of others, but you can see there is the first window that's installed. They're vinyl windows, low E, high efficiency, black vinyl on the outside, white vinyl on the inside, and we've got 4 of them installed now. But now I'm finishing up the very last section of eaves, which is the last thing I need to do before we can start putting the roof deck on. So as with the ones I did on the high side, I'm putting in 1 long piece of subfascia, and then I'll have all of the shorter pieces of subfascia match up to that, so that I don't have to individually measure each one or leave them long and then try to cut them. This has been the most efficient way that I have found to do it. And again, just working on the lower side of the house with the use of the tractor makes this so much easier. You can see the eave on the right there ends, and that's because the entryway is going to be built there once we get the roof decked. I'm going to deck the roof first because the over roof for the entryway and the porch are going to be built off of that roof deck, and so that's why that space is there. And there's also one on the other side of the entryway as well, and then I'll deal with that detail when I actually start building the entryway itself. So the way I'm going to do this fascia is that the subfascia that is there now, the roof deck will project outside of that subfascia about a half an inch on all sides of the house. And then the final piece of fascia, I will abut to that on the subfascia and nail that vertically. And then the soffit boards will run horizontally or essentially horizontally, and meet that piece of final fascia board. And we will do that after the roof is decked, because I'll be able to do it from the top instead of having to figure out a scaffolding solution as I work my way around. But here you can see all of the eaves. They are complete all around the house. On this back side, remember, there'll be a deck along the whole back side, and those eaves are 3-foot eave extensions over this side, and then 1 foot on the sides and on the front itself. And then you might have seen the excavator going back and forth while I was working on the eaves. That's because they were burying the septic tank and the distribution box, which you can see there on the left. This is just below the back side of that house from the view you just saw. And this distribution box will split the effluent, the water coming out of the septic tank, into these 2 leach lines. So we have 2 leach lines that run, I think they're about 80 feet each. And typically speaking, a 2-bedroom requires 100 foot per bedroom, but we shortened the run and made the leach field wider, which also works. And that saved us a little bit of space and, quite frankly, a little bit of money. So that worked out well. This is where I'm at. Thanks for watching. See you next time.